Hello and welcome to CNC Live. We're coming to you from Los Angeles, California at the Victory Game Studio. I'm Matt Marcoux. Joining me is Jason Savopoulos and a bunch of other friends, CNC friends we'll introduce you to later.
Now, if you're just tuning in, you might remember us from Gamescom, where we brought you guys the very first look of Command & Conquer. We heard your feedback, and yes, it is true, we will be coming at you every day on the Wednesday at this hour, at noon.
Yep. That is until they inevitably fire us.
Whoa, speak for yourself. This pretty face here has got a job locked in for a while.
All right, so we have job security there to the looker. But since I have limited time with you, I'd like to get straight into the meat of the show. We're going to show you what you really want to see. That is CNC action, CNC Alpha gameplay.
Yeah, now to start off real quick, we want to give a brief background on some of the classic stuff that we have. Is that correct?
Yeah. But yeah, so just to let you know what we're doing for the show today. So we're going to take you guys through the primary alpha experience. That is what you see when you enter into the game for the first time. So we're going to take you through the three factions, their base generals. That is the base general of the APA faction, the European Union faction, and the GLA faction.
Right.
But before we get into that, I think we have some rules for the show that we like to go through. Since we're going to be sharing experiences on a weekly basis with y'all, we'd like to make sure you know the rules of the game.
Yeah, so now they're fun rules, right? They're Fight Club rules. They're not exactly
Fight Club rules, dodgeball rules. If you're good at dodgeball, you get peppered. They're not like tax rules. I love tax rules, but I'm kind of weird. No one should like tax rules.
I don't like them so much. I dread that timing when it comes in April. But to start off, so rule number one, feedback. Feedback is very important to us on this team here, and we want to make sure that we hear you guys loud and clear in the community. So send in your feedback to our Facebook, our forums page, Twitch as well is another great avenue. Our forums is probably the best one out of all of them to hear your feedback, and we usually listen to that as our first filter.
Yep.
That being said, being social, does provide some presence as well.
Right, exactly. Don't be that weird, awkward nerd in the corner who's not participating, just kind of creeping out there. We don't want lurkers here. We want a lot of good feedback. Another really good avenue is our Twitter feed, official CNC. We're going to display it down there, but it's out there, official CNC. So, rule number two, we reserve the right to give away alpha codes, copious amounts of alpha codes, or even tank loads of alpha codes. So each and every show, we're going to make sure we give you guys swag. Please participate and be nice about it.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, this leads up to the rule number three here, which is we're going to be giving away those codes in Twitch and Twitter. So make sure to follow us and subscribe. You have to be in the channel to make sure that you get this code that we actually give you guys. So make sure you're there all the time.
Yeah, when you're in the channel, just type alpha, nothing else, just type alpha, and that'll automatically enter you into the drawing for the code that we'll give away periodically. And like Savop said here, you gotta stay in the channel.
Yeah, it's very important that you do so, and we already have something set up for stuff like that in the future here.
Exactly. And since you're all clustered together, huddled in the channels, waiting for your goodies, we ask you be on your best behavior, all right? There's no achievement for getting banned from a Twitch channel. It's actually really terrible. Like, you wouldn't brag about that. And we don't want to have to do that to you guys. So be on your best behavior. We like a little bit of fun, but excessive trolling, vulgarity, that's not the place for this.
Yeah, usually we kick them out fairly frequently, so just make sure that we have moderators already there, so just make sure best behavior is always welcome as first priority.
Yeah, well, I think enough of that. I want to see some explosions here.
Yes, that being said, we'll start off with the faction focuses that we have today for the three. So a brief background on all three of our factions in our game today. So the first off that I'm going to be leading with is the APA faction. APA is the Asian Pacific Alliance. They are the ones that are going to be tactically hoarding, overwhelming the player. The classic general for them is the Taskmaster. So you'll see that in game today, and they're the ones that really try to overwhelm their opponent.
Yep. Yeah, Taskmaster's a great general. I want to talk a little bit about the EU faction, which is the new faction to CNC, European Union. It's kind of interesting to think that I feel like the European Union is invading us or something. It's a little bit weird for me to talk about them, but they're a great faction. I consider them to be the heavy hitters of the game, so really high HP, high damage. It does take a little bit to get them out in the field, though. They are rather expensive compared to their other factions in the game. But we've seen that used to deadly effect.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to round out all three factions, there's one left, which is my personal favorite, the GLA, Global Liberation Army. As you guys have known in Generals and in Zero Hour, previously 10 years ago, they were already in that game, and yes, we brought them back in with some new tools and weapons of sorts. They're the Finesse faction. They're the ones that do the hit and run. A lot of the times, they're the ones that do sneak attacks using tunnel networks in remote locations to transport units really, really fast. They're harder to play, but overall really fun when done correctly.
Yep, exactly. And in order to show off these 3 awesome factions, you guys, we've brought 2 great members of our studio team to do this live. We have Mike and Cameron here.
Yes. So quick introductions here. To my left here, we have Michael Gotze. Michael Gotze is our live producer, as you guys see on camera there. As you guys can see, he has that weasel mustache with that wink. He needs a Mentos in his right hand, and that would have sold the whole picture. But he is the man that's in charge of all things going live. So when there's an exploit or there's something really big happening that's not supposed to happen the way it is, or if there's just instability, he's the one that's the first line of defense, getting everything worked upon to make sure that you guys have a better experience.
Man, he practiced that wink and poke so many times. But if anyone can pull off, it's him. My nickname for him in the studio is Gotze amongst men. And I'll leave it up to the imagination how he got the nickname.
Now, to my right, we have Mr. Cameron Turner. As you guys can see on your screen in a short minute, he is a man of the pop collar, the bro factor, as you guys see there. And he sports it religiously with his double collar setup. He is from the marketing team here, and he sells himself very well with his alternate persona there, as you guys see.
Yeah, I think of him as marketing's favorite son, and I must say I'm a little bit biased this game. I've given him some tips on how to play some of these generals, so I'm looking to see him pull through in some of our demonstrations today.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, that kind of rounds out everything we have here as far as setup. I think it's time to actually get a game underway.
Let's show people what they want. That is the CNC Alpha. Let's get into the game here. So we have Cameron, as you see, we have Cameron here setting up the menu to get into the game. This is just kind of the, how do you say it? This is the clinical stuff. So when you first get your Alpha key, this will be the first thing you see once you get it loaded up. He's selecting his general. I think we'll be seeing Cameron playing the GLA Tactician today, and for the first game, and Gotze will be playing EU's Bulldog.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get both of them queued up here.
Yeah, now as you guys can see here, this is our custom game lobby, so he's inviting somebody right now, Mr. EA Gotze, to the chat here. So once he accepts on his side, we'll get this game underway. He has chosen the yellow setup, and there you go. Mr. Gotze now finally gets the invite going and accepts. And he's going to be playing in the blue, supporting the EU.
Yeah, and you're so in character, man. You're commentating like the custom game setup. I love it.
I feel like I'm droning out, but
yeah. Sometimes, like, you ever just like walk around and just like give commentary on like everything you're doing. It's kind of funny.
Sometimes you get used to that.
You get used to just like talking constantly. But for the benefit of you guys in the show here, I think we're all set. Are we good to go? Yes. Let's get us in game here.
So they'll be playing on Nile Delta. We'll give a brief background of how that map layout is strategically applicable to the game here for this matchup here.
It's nice and easy. It's a very open map.
Yeah.
I feel very open. But yet not a huge map. It's tight. So I think that'll lend a lot to the GLA hit and run tactics overall.
Yes.
It'll be a little bit more difficult for the EU to defend.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
He'll have to play the choke points fairly hard just to make sure that he's not exposed constantly.
Yep. And I think we're starting over here on Cameron's side, GLA side. So a couple things on the GUI that I want to point out to you guys. So obviously you have Minimap in the lower left-hand corner. You'll see right next to that, you'll see the general portrait. So that's the Tactician General, reminding you who you selected in game in case you forgot. Next to him are a list of his player powers and experience level. So as he goes through these conflicts, as he's destroying units, that general actually builds up experience to which he can use to lay out player power.
Now, as you guys see here, he just started off building a war factory. Obviously, vehicles is his emphasis right now. He's probably going to use that to his advantage to get a scouting unit out there and to be able to kind of see the vision of the map and see what his opponent is doing. At this time, as you guys see here, for the GLA, the amount of workers required to be at optimal point of optimization for harvesting is actually 8. As you guys see on the tooltip, 7 out of 8, right above them of the supply center itself. You immediately see that he has a technical right there that he's already hotkeyed and moving outside the base and using the ramp there right down below and going through some of that debris there, as you guys can see, and making his way using the road for the optimal path.
Yep, exactly. No, scouting is very important at the start of the game. A couple things to note on this for those who haven't seen the game. So you have one resource in Command & Conquer here. It's just money, flat out money. But there are two ways to harvest it. One is through your main base and expansion points, which if you see on the mini-map are the large squares. But peppered out throughout the map are these small circles. So those are oil wells, and those oil wells you can build an oil derrick and collect resources as well.
Now, right away, you guys see here that there's an immediate engagement. The technical ran into some APCs. The APCs, since it's a 2-to-1 ratio here, obviously he doesn't want to engage fully. So he's just going to try to use that technical to go up the ramp of his opponent to actually scout what he is doing, see what technical structure he has building and what kind of tech he's using to be able to counter that back at his base.
Yeah, Godsey is trying to chase down the technical on the U side, but I said this, E units are big, bulky, a little bit slow. So he pursued it for a while, but realized he couldn't catch up to it. So he disengaged with some of the units, but is still trying to chase it down as best as possible because you just don't want a scout running around your base. You got to take it down eventually.
Yeah, and it looks like right now he's
there it goes.
There it is. So if you guys saw there, now he was scouting with his technical. He did have buildings already hotkeyed, which is an advanced tactic. He just tapped one of the hotkeys that he used, probably like a 4 or a 5, and actually started building a couple tanks out of the war factory while he was still microing back at his base, the opponent's base. So right away he used that intel to his advantage and is immediately trying to capitalize on it.
Yeah, exactly. As you see here, we're in Brosidon Cameron's base here. He's pulling out some units. Don't want to reveal too much here in case Godsey is trying to overhear me in this early part of the game. But you can see he's just trying to pump out a couple units. He's got intel on his opponent. He's setting up some new structures, and he's putting together an army. What he hasn't done yet so far is gone outside the base to look for any sort of expansion. So it appears we're going to have quite a furious opening game here.
Yeah. So immediately right away, it looks like he's teching up his barracks as well to the second tier, which is going to give him some insurgent, which is a rocket version of an infantry unit that does really good damage towards vehicles. He's making his way across to the other side of the map, going through the walls here with his tank.
And he's going through the back alley where the tank is barely squeezing through there.
Now keep in mind the trees are biased to this and they don't want to fall down as well, and same with the debris. So at the moment, they are staying stationary.
Yes. Can't we just... I don't know, we're an advocate for preserving wildlife.
Yes,
So the Frostbite injury, we didn't want to show that. Oh, but we have a sneak attack coming in here. Godsey's managed to sneak 3 of those APCs in there. I don't know if Cameron realized they're in. They're in the base right now, and they're looking for something to destroy.
Yeah, right now, automatically, the APCs do great damage to the GLA workers, so this is going to be really good if he can capitalize on that. But as you can see, he has one tank doing a little dance right now, and he's not paying attention. There it is. He's bringing it over at the moment, and he also has a quad cannon to deal some damage as well. Not to be as good DPS as a tank, but overall does get the job done.
Yeah. That was he's like a little touchdown dance before he took it out. He's like taunting his opponent. It's like just shimmying around like Muhammad Ali.
Exactly.
But Godsey is continuing his push here. He's got an Aegis tank in the mix there. Goes down rather quickly. It's just surrounded at this point. He thought he could sneak another unit in there, but to no avail.
Now, you might be wondering why he's pushing so hard in his opponent's base, but as you can see on the mini-map here, you can actually see what the two of them are building right now on both sides of the spectrum. This is not a bug. This is actually something where you can actually see the opponent. Until they build a command center, they can actually see every building that's being built on the map. So the command center is highly valued to make sure that you can actually do sneak attacks or build things where your opponent doesn't know what they are, and scouting becomes a much bigger presence needed in the later game.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we're testing here in the alpha, and this is one countermeasure that we're checking to see if it kind of enhances the whole counter system of RTS at this point. So your feedback on that is really appreciated, actually, as we feel out what is like the best play experience.
Yeah. Now, as you guys can see, Cameron's actually building a lot of insurgent right now. He saw that there was a lot of vehicles coming out of Godsey's base, and he wants to make sure that he has a good counter for that. He's immediately applying pressure on the oil derrick. The oil derrick itself actually provides additional income on a per tick basis every 5 seconds. So it's overall takes a while to get the actual optimization of having that expense be actually something that you get back as a reward. But overall, over time, it's extremely essential.
Yeah, and we see Brosidon there managed to take it out. Lost a tank in the process. Overall, I would say that was very worth it. But now he's got to get those black market tanks out of the way. They're being chased down by the EU's blue Aegis tanks there. The black market tanks are certainly faster, but once they're caught, they're pinned in that corner, and inevitably they will be caught and they will go down.
He's making his way to the second oil derrick as well, just trying to take out the economy of Gotzi's base here and really trying to make sure to shut it down. As he's doing that, he's doing a great tactic here. As you attack the opponent, it leaves them vulnerable for the map presence, right? So automatically, Mr. Brosidon over here is actually taking an oil derrick for himself on his side of the base.
Yeah, it's very good. And oh, he just barely gets that second oil derrick. Now he's trying to get the hell out of Dodge at this point. Wow, that actually paid off better than I thought. You know, Godzi just wasn't able to get into a great position to stop that second tank's run of firing. It looks like it is going to go down soon. It's in the red. Just 2 more shots, I think. It is.
Oh my
it's
goodness!
Sneaking away. Wow, that
insult to injury there.
That is a hero tank. I feel this is like some sort of bad action movie where you got all the tanks chasing like the hero car there, and they just can't catch him, and he gets away. I love it.
It's like in a scary movie where the girl falls down in like a critical moment and can't get back up fast enough. That felt like that right there.
Yeah, you're just not sure what's going to go on here, but you know, Godzi is on patrol. That one tank is running for its life. It's not going to be able to hold up at all. Maybe he can get a scrap repair or heal it in some way. But right now we have Godzi on the move with those 7 Aegis tanks. I mean, he can do a considerable amount of damage. He just needs to get over to Cameron's base.
Yeah, and as you can see right now, going back to Cameron's camera here, it looks like Cameron is playing the choke point right now. There is only one ramp to get into the base using the vehicles or infantry, so he's playing that choke point very, very heavily. Right now he's using that one tank to be really annoying and going after that additional oil derrick right now to actually just capitalize on shutting down the economy of Godzi. This is super annoying. If I was on the receiving end, I'd be so bitter right now.
Yeah, this is really great microplay here from Cameron, like understanding that he's you know, he's falling behind in the macro game. He didn't have quite the economy expansion he needed to. Oh no, the hero tank goes down. I feel we should like name that, like Lester, we will always remember you. Lester the tank, I'm calling it. I don't know why.
He didn't get the oil derrick there, so unfortunately, even though he was being annoying, it didn't capitalize on actually taking out the economy there. But it looks like the map presence is still going on, and there's going to be an encounter right back at Brosidon's base here. It looks like Gotzi's bringing the pain with those Aegis
Cyber Command going down. That's to debuff the Black Market tank and other GLA units there. But we see Cameron, Gotzi's unit army is just falling there. All those Aegis tanks just get mowed over. He made a kind of a tactical mistake there. Like he went through the side. He was trying to be sneaky and go through the cliff, but his units are big and bulky. They got caught on the corner there, and so they got caught in that choke, and that just allowed the GLA to mow them down pretty easily.
Yeah, as you guys saw, Brosidon had a really good concave setup where all of his units could attack at once, whereas Gotzi had kind of that funnel tactic, so only the front ones could shoot, and overall just could not handle the pain.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that shows you the importance of positioning there. You know, when you're on the move, your units tend to kind of be in a line, so you have to be, especially for the slower moving ones, you need to be aware of that because it makes them like a little ant trail. It's really easy to pick off.
Right, exactly, and unfortunately that's what happened there. He kind of got played in the choke as well. But it looks like Cameron's actually moving out now, moving forward, going back to that oil derrick setup that Gotzi
He
had.
wants it.
He started it, he wants to finish it, right?
He's coming back for what he believes is his. It's like a revenge movie now.
So automatically, he has a pretty good force with the Insurgent going on their way. Back at his base, he was actually using the GLA tunnel network upgrade to make it so that vehicles can transport into the tunnel network. I believe he's going to try to use that momentarily, as you guys see there really quickly. So it's ready to go to transport units when he needs to, and he already did an expansion. Now, at this point, Gotzi does see this as well, because he still doesn't have a command center at this point, or does he? He does. I'm sorry. There he goes. Cameron points that to me right away. Look at this, noob. I do have one.
So he's getting that final oil well at this point. He says you see on your screen there. Those insurgents, now those are stealth units right now. So Gotzi is not going to be able to see them properly. So if you're wondering like, hey, they're walking right by, what's going on? They are stealth right now. They're very difficult to see. One burst fire there takes out that remaining oil derrick.
Yeah, so now Gotzi knows that there's something happening over there and he needs to prepare for it. So if he saw that blip really quickly, he would be able to see that they're all infantry and has to have an appropriate counter to take them down quickly.
I was going to say, what's amazing here is that both armies are on the move, and they're completely on the opposite side of the map from each other. So we're in like a weird kind of base racy situation here. But if we were to get into that, I'm pretty sure that Cameron as GLA would survive just based on his unit diversity and his income right now.
Yeah, so it looks like right now there's 3 units exposed on Cameron's bottom ramp there, and those are going to get taken down right away. The 2 black market tanks and the quad cannon immediately doesn't do much to the Aegis tanks there. And it looks like Cameron's having a little bit of problems as well. Immediately uses the infiltration band smoke screen. This makes it harder for the EU to actually attack the GLA that are underneath that cloud of smoke.
Wow, that was some great play there between the Insurgent Cloak and the smoke screen. He managed to take out, I think there were 6 and 7 Aegis tanks there. I'm very surprised he managed to take that out. It seemed like a pretty, it seemed like the battle was swayed more in Godzi's side with his heavy beefy EU faction, but those with the kind of the hit and run tactics and the smoke screen, Cameron pulled out the victory in that battle there.
Yeah, he definitely did. Now, as you guys can see, Cameron's actually winning here. Why? Because he has 1 oil derrick up and an expansion that already has 5 out of the 8 workers ready to go for optimization. So overall, even though he didn't do much to the base because Godzi has air units now, it turns out that the economy game, he's actually winning. So overall, you know, preparing for the later game, he's going to win this out automatically.
Yeah, it's flipped definitely. Let's actually flip the perspective over to Godzi to give a perspective on what he needs to do to counteract this attack here. So we flipped over. You see he's bringing in kind of a sneak attack here, and he's preparing his base defenses for more encounters with Cameron because he knows he's behind at this point. He's got to make some sort of maneuver.
Yeah, so automatically he's harassing the War Factory. The War Factory right now is probably the biggest bane of his existence at the moment. It's already teched up to the salvage level, so he can actually get access to those radar bands, quad cannons, and black market tanks. And now he's trying to take that down automatically right away. There is no counter coming in. It does go down immediately. Looks like black market tanks are coming in, but they don't do anything to the air units there, so it's perfect for him. But as you can see, the Insurgent are decloaking right now, and it looks like God's saying, screw that, I'm out.
Yeah, he got what he came for. That's really great. Oh, he goes back. Why did he go back? He had it. That's called greed right there. But those units are the Phantom units. They're great for the stealth attacks, hit and runs. I would say they are probably EU's only kind of hit and run tactic compared to the GLA, which is like completely about hit and run tactics.
Now, as you guys see here, if we switch back to Cameron's view really quickly, there's a little sneak attack. He used that tunnel network right away, and he built it right at the back of Godzi's base while that was all going on. He has a radar van there as well, which is the GLA's version of a caster unit. As you see the orange bar underneath, it works off of a heat system, so the more stuff you cast, the higher the heat it is, and then if you don't have room in the heat and it overloads, you can't do anything with it.
Wow, wow. Yeah, Cameron's like, hey, you're doing a sneak attack? Well, I'm the master of sneak attacks. Boom, just comes in backdooring there, taking out that power. You're seeing the EU base, the lightning bolt above the structures means that they're in a low power state, meaning that they cannot produce units as fast. There's nothing left here. I think there it is. There's a GG from Godzi doing the honorable thing, not trolling his opponent. That was a really cool first match.
Yeah, that was really well done. You saw some really good action there. You saw some caster unit play, some stealth play, along with some harassment at the beginning. So it was a pretty good progression between beginning to end.
Yeah, airplay at the end. Yeah, like I said, that match had a lot. It was interesting to see how Cameron took his time at the beginning, bided his time with GLA, didn't go for the expander right away, try to play his harassment game, and he played a kind of a counter-punching game, where he didn't think, oh, I need to mask my units, I'm going to wait for a critical strike, and then I'm going to tech up.
Exactly. I mean, he used the scouting of the technical right away to see what's going on, and then he immediately harassed the oil derricks that were already being produced by Godzi to get that macro advantage, that money advantage.
That one tank, Lester the Tank. Godspeed wherever you are.
He did very well. I wish he was heroic. I wish he went into that heroic mode.
Oh, the heroic bonus?
Yeah, heroic bonus for veterancy. Veterancy on our game.
Actually, that's a good point. Would it be worthwhile to give a veterancy for destroying buildings as well, adding that to veterancy? I'm just pitching an idea there. Maybe it's stupid. It's probably imbalanced, but I don't know. I feel we need to give that man some sort of reward here.
Yeah, and it would have been really well used if that was the case. So.
Yep. Well, I think the reward for everyone on the stream here is we're going to do another game, of course.
Of course.
Yep. So we're going to throw APA in the mix. So I don't know if we're going to go to that shot there. So behind Cameron is the portrait of the Taskmaster General, fearless leader, as we call him sometimes, some of us here. the weird ones.
And there's his pop collar action. He's
Saluting,
really loving
saluting
it.
Fearless Leader.
In his own way,
In his own way, right, exactly.
So immediately we want to get into the next game here.
Yep.
It looks like Godsy's just closing out his end results screen just to see some of the statistics that he had.
Trying to pick up some learnings. He's like, oh, what can I do differently this time? Mike is going to be reprising his role with the EU faction, going up against the APA here. See, as he look off pensively into the distance, what can I do? What can I do? You know what? We're going to put something up at stake here, though, Mike, to motivate you. Mike, if you lose 2 in a row, we're going to ask that you shave your mustache. Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
You lose.
That's what's at stake there. If you lose, your mustache is gone. If you win, even it up. We'll call it a day. We'll say it's even, and find something else to fight over another day.
Yeah.
Yeah? Sound good? All right. Hopefully it sounds good. With that said, I think might as well cue into the second game here.
Perfect. So it looks like right now, as they're getting into game at the moment, he has the Taskmaster selected there, and then immediately is going to go into the custom game lobby one more time to invite Mr. Godsey perfectly. They are playing
the perfect invitation.
they are playing on the live alpha right now, so they don't want to get in a match with a random person at the moment.
Yes.
So custom game lobby is definitely necessary.
We are on the live service, so you too can send a friend invite to these two, and they will not answer because they're heavily engaged right now.
So, you got to focus.
Yes.
You got to focus.
Yes, I think we're all set here. Let's get some APA action going here.
So automatically, Cameron, Mr. Brosidon,
Godsey taking that deep breath. He's nervous. He doesn't want to lose the weasel mustache.
I just think the word weasel mustache is such a good word. And then when you see it live and in your face, it just amplifies.
Hashtag weasel mustache. let's get that one going, guys.
So as they get into their game, what do you expect to see here with the APA versus EU matchup?
Well, I think the styles of the APA and the EU are more similar compared to the GLA, which is very hit and run tactic. As we're getting in the game here, we are on a different map here. We are on small town, super open map at this point. You know what? I'm not exactly sure what to expect. I think the APA is a good mix of the EU and GLA, where they do have some sneaky air tactics. They also have really good infantry play. So we could see a lot of infantry play on both sides here. We could see another sneaky drop from Cameron since it worked so well the first game. I don't know what to expect exactly. There's a lot of variety and options.
Now, as you guys see here, our build-up animations for our game are, I think, unparalleled of any RTS. I zone out, and as you guys see here, Cameron has zoomed in just for us. As you see, cranes going off and all kinds of crazy stuff going with the workers.
You're gushing. You're melting like butter right in front of me.
I know. I love this stuff, man. It's like a throwback to Legos. You know what I mean?
Throwback to Legos. I think we should go up to our lead engineer and say, "Hey, this reminds me of Legos. Good job." And just see what his reaction is.
It's nostalgia. So as you guys see here, Cameron actually built a command center first, and the reason for that is the teching portion of the APA is heavily reliant on upgrading the command center. It's a very traditional style of faction setup, as the focal point of the command center is probably the biggest thing that you hit right away, and it's one of the more harassment points, high risk, high reward.
Exactly. Just some notes here. So once again, mini-map in the lower left portion of your corner, you see the Taskmaster General has replaced the Tactician General there. You see his player powers. His player powers are different. Actually, we didn't. I'm trying to remember if we actually saw the GLA use Sandstorm. I don't think we saw the Sandstorm power used last game. But Taskmaster has offshore bombardment, which is an AOE damage and stun. That's that first player power on left there. What you see is since he built that command center, another thing he gained access to is another player power. That's that eye-looking thing there. I forget the exact name of it. I think it's Spy Sortie. Spy Sortie is the name of that. So that one, by the way, when you use it, it's a great tactic to see what your opponent's doing. It automatically gives you vision in the area that you're casting it in. And it's basically, I think, like 8 planes that go into a circular formation, cross each other, and then cross back out. And immediately you get to see what's over there. So it's a great visionary tactic. And overall, it's great to use, especially on a big map like this, to see what your opponent's doing if you haven't peeked over there in a while. Yeah, so this map is, I would say, probably a little bit longer corner to corner. than what we saw on River Delta here. However, it is much easier to get inside the bases. Each base has 2 entry points. Actually, we're seeing a little skirmish at the front. We see the flame squads coming in there and decimating the infantry of Godzi. They're looking to run for cover. Now, he does have the option to garrison. He is garrisoning. Both units have garrison there to take each other out. So now we have a little bit of a fight here. This is like Black Hawk Down or something. Some sort of war movie here.
Now, the Flame Soldiers actually do good damage to our garrison setup, so it actually damages the units inside. But I think right now what's happening is that it's just numbers compared to numbers, and it looks like APA just has less.
Yeah, I think those flame squads are fairly expensive. I think they cost like 550-ish compared to the rifle soldiers.
500 was correct.
500, damn it. So angry.
Don't second guess yourself,
And I think
man.
those rifle squads are only about 200 there. So having those 1 or 2 units really paid off. I think additionally he managed to garrison a lot earlier, which shielded a lot of the initial damage. I also don't quite know. There could have been a range factor out there. Intuitively, I want to say that those rifle soldiers had better range than the flame squads, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me.
Now, keep in mind, he does have a good point. When you garrison in our game, you actually get a range boost, so you are correct on that.
Yeah.
So automatically, right away, garrisoning is a tactical advantage, along with giving you a little bit more armor of the building itself.
Yep.
So,
we have another sneaky play here. Godzi getting in that garrison right next to that oil derrick. He's getting free shots off. There's no way to stop this. That's really annoying. You don't want to mix fire and oil. Bad things happen.
Exactly. So right away, he's taking down that oil derrick, which is going to stop a little bit of the economy. The dozer goes down too. He actually tried to use that to attack the building, which didn't really do too much. It was just one of those, as it's there, try to do something with it. So it looks like that oil derrick went down right away, stopping the economy of the EU for Godzi. And this is actually going to be great because now it looks like Mr. Cameron is actually teching up at the moment. And so right now you guys see the advanced war factory or the heavy war factory, and he's automatically building artillery. So this is going to be great to see on the field, and it's going to be that high range of poke that you wanted to see from the APA. And right now, obviously, the Warlord tank and then the Gatling cannon are just decimating that infantry right there.
Yeah, so we see Cameron here has managed to get out a healthy mix of his army. Not only he started off with infantry, but is now mixing tanks in there to further shield it. Oh, we've got a big surprise coming out right now. This is going to be, you know what, looking at what he's done so far, I think he's going to go for a lockdown strategy, right, where he's got a lot of infantry and faster, lighter tanks leading the pack, but he's got some heavier stuff in the back here.
Now, as you guys can see, since Cameron actually built a command center, Godzi doesn't know what's going on. Right now, he's completely oblivious to what's happening, so he doesn't know that obviously artillery are being built, the heavy war factory is already in place. He doesn't even know that right now he's expanding to that oil derrick to the east side of his base, his natural base. So right now, Godzi's really in the dark. That's why he built those railgun soldiers to come in to see what's going on. They just didn't get far since he got met with some counter mechanics from Cameron.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think what's interesting here is Godzi's on patrol. Actually, if you could flip to Godzi's perspective, get a better sense of what he's thinking in right now. Yep, and he's on patrol at this point, looking for some. He's looking for revenge. I think he's lost that oil derrick. He's looking to cause some damage, see what he can do, make sure he's aware of what's going on at this point.
Now he's using railgun soldiers. They do great damage towards the bunkers and garrison units. They automatically do great damage, along with against vehicles, and they do line damage.
And that's offshore bombardment going down with a mix of the pyro and the warlord fire. Those railgun soldiers don't stand a chance. They just get mowed over. You just had firepower coming from all angles, like flame in front of you, like bombs above you, and then like tanks from a distance. Like that's a tough situation here.
That was a little painful to see, unfortunately. And it also looked like Godzi wasn't even able to go up the ramp, right? So he wasn't even able to see what was shooting him, and that's just a tactical advantage on placement.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, at this point, I would have, if I were him, I would have maybe run over to the other side of the base and checked out that weak side. I find that, like, when I play, players have a tendency, when you're on the lower part of the map, to kind of stack towards that initial point, like straight north or up from where your base is. And there's less focus usually placed on the right-hand side of that base. But it just wasn't the case today. It wasn't what he decided to do. And those railgun units all went down.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you guys see the artillery unit, the Thunderfist, being deployed. That is the deployed state with those 4 legs sprawled out like that. That means that it can shoot from very far range, and it does really great damage. So automatically, that left side of the ramp is on lockdown status, and so Godsey needs to develop his tactic to go on another position. He can't keep using that same one over and over, so he really needs to develop a new strategy to have a plan of attack.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if he needs to rush at this point. I mean, the resources on both sides look fairly even. Neither one has committed to expanding or teching in a drastic way. So right now, both sides are playing very defensively. Although we have Godsey running in here, looking in that other oil derrick. He's looking to take it down, and it likely will go down. Just 1 or 2 more rallies there. Yep, and it
there
goes down.
Goes. Now, if he decides to engage here, I don't think he's going to win. Those flame soldiers, oh, but the AoE on this is so good. The positioning from Cameron was just not well executed, and automatically they had that line of ants shape. And those railguns do great damage in the line format and just decimate it.
We have the Never Given healing power going down, healing those wounded railguns back up to full. Another encounter on the ramp here. This time, though, the railgun soldiers far outnumber all those tanks. Gatling tanks trying to do their best. They're picking away there, but they can't do it.
The Thunderfist is doing some damage. I don't know if Godsey sees this already. He's not taking it down right away.
He's
and
not
it
rushing
looks like he's trying to move it. Cameron's trying to put it into a better position because he feels that he's really hurting at the moment. As you guys can see, Godsey actually took down a couple of critical building structures and now is going after that artillery unit of the Thunderfist.
Oh, does it have the range, though? No, it doesn't have the range, damn it. Cyber Command going down there, further buffing those railgun units. He got in. I'm so surprised that he managed to live with those railgun units. They're very powerful, but I for sure thought they were done for with all this AoE attack going down from Cameron.
You know, Cameron really needs to actually have a plan of attack here. He's going one at a time, and it's not working in his favor. He has an Overlord tank, which is huge, and he needs to use that to his advantage. And he finally comes in with both units at the same time and attacking at the same position. He has almost 2k gold, so he's sitting on a lot, so he should have been expanding at the same time. I just think that the micro over there was too much back at his base, so he had to focus.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there. I'm really surprised. He also managed to take out a power plant, which has put Cameron at a low power state right there, so the units are pumping up even more slowly. He's got to bring it up to normal state because he knows he's on his back heel. He knows he probably has fewer units available right now. He's got to do something at this point. And there you see he is actually building that power plant, and he's not only has to build it, but he has to somehow defend it as well going forward.
Yeah, he doesn't have too much going on. So at this point right now, as you and I both see this on the screen, Cameron's extremely vulnerable. He doesn't have a lot to defend, and he's actually expanding at the same time. Now, keeping in mind, maybe during the attack it would have been good to expand if he felt he can defend it fairly well and do it at the same time. But at this point, he's so far down at the moment that it might have been a better decision to hold off on the expansion, invest in some heavy units to just counter Godsey when he comes again, and to be able to prepare to be nimble.
Yeah, let's flip over to Godsey on the EU side here because he is on the move. Let's see what kind of action he's looking to get himself into at this point. You see those Aegis tanks leading forward here. They're actually outpacing the other infantry, but those Aegis tanks are encountering the Overlord at this point, and along with some flame infantry. I don't think they're going to hold. I mean, they are his shield, but they let out a little bit too far in front at this point.
Yeah, and then cybernetic command.
Cyber Command going down
there. We go. I always get that wrong.
Yeah, that's a
win off.
That's a buff there, both a movement and attack speed for the EU there, and it's a debuff if it would have hit the APA here.
And then Cameron also used his offshore bombardment to damage those guys right away. So it took down some of the tanks already at the forefront, but those railgun tanks, he doesn't have a good answer. Automatically using the Overlord, which has high HP and armor, but overall is not the counter to infantry right away. As you can see, it's taken a long time for him to actually go down and kill those railgun soldiers right away.
Yeah, he's using his player power super effectively. I think what you're seeing there is Cameron basically has his high HP units are the last ones remaining, so that's why he's using them at this point. They are not an effective counter, though, to all his infantry. The railguns specifically, they're just not able to hold there. Finally takes down the last of that army here, but he's still hurting. He's still way on the ropes here.
Yeah, as you guys can see, he's floating about 1,500. Which is great right now, and he actually got his expansion up and running. So overall, Godsey does not know about this because the command center has not gone down, so he doesn't have vision of it unless he scouts it by accident. At the same time, if he can get that going, this will be that saving grace and this silver lining at the moment, because right now his economy is not there yet, but as soon as that takes off, he will be able to produce enough to be able to defend fairly well at the trophy point.
Yeah, I think his saving grace right now is just the corner-to-corner length of the map here. And kind of, I'll say like a little bit of a lack of micro here. here. So Godzi is going into the fights. He's focusing completely on the tactics of it. And actually, at this point, he discovers the expansion that Cameron was trying to sneak by here. This is a very tough match to sneak an expansion. There are not a lot of expansion points, and they're very much kind of on the way to your opponent's base. So very tough to sneak that in here. That attack is not going well.
Yeah, he's automatically selling the structure.
Selling
so
the structure,
he can actually get the
when
money
he
back.
Yep.
Not fully 100%, but overall close to that. That being said, he got his crane, his builder unit out of there, and immediately is having flame soldiers play that choke point, so in case he's chasing, garrisons that building right there, and now is doing damage towards those railgun tanks, or railgun soldiers, as they pass by.
Yeah, but you see those railguns, I think the railguns also have anti-garrison damage? I'm not
Correct.
Yeah, they also do. So you see he mows through the units in the building before he actually destroys the building, which is the property that anti-garrison damage. It's managed to hit the people inside and not actually do as much damage to the structure, which is good overall for stopping the firepower in there very quickly.
And it looks like right now the expansion is going down. That oil derrick has depleted in the sense that it's been destroyed. And it looks like Godzi is just making a presence there. As you guys can see, Cameron used his Horde Surveillance player power, which is little camera turrets that are stealth.
Yep.
And that's why you see a lot of red dots in Godzi's base at the moment. They last for about a minute, maybe 90 seconds. And then after that, they burn out. So
yep. Another push here from Godzi into the base. This time, Cameron may be a little bit more prepared, but those flame squads are going down very quickly. Overlord is certainly going to be in the fight for the long run, but it's going to very quickly be overwhelmed. We've basically got like an 8-to-1 unit advantage there. It's just not going to hold. A second Overlord coming out, still, I don't know if it's going to be enough to hold at this point. Well, you know what, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are a little bit more durable than I had thought at this point, and they are managing to hold the fort down.
Now, keep in mind that they actually have the propaganda upgrade. So that helps in both their battle and also their healing abilities to buff each other up. So that any version of an Overlord has an upgrade mechanic where they can choose from 3. And so Cameron chose to do the propaganda tower, which will help buff and also heal over time. And then there's another one, which is the Gatling cannon, which helps counter air.
Gotcha.
And then there's a bunker mechanic as well, where you can bunker infantry in there as well.
Oh, we have a longbow coming out here on the.
Yeah, and it looks like it uses its ability, the pulse ability, to actually go ahead and spot any camera turrets in the area.
Yeah.
And it immediately took those out because he knew that something was going on there. So that was just really good.
Smart play there by Cameron. But the point I was getting to is smart play by Godzi. But the thing I'm getting to is, so Godzi had the advantage, but I feel he's like slowly losing it. And one of the reasons why he's been so focused on the micro tactics of each battle, he's not been paying attention to rallying his new units over to somewhere that'll be useful. Like if he had just rallied those railgun units from the barracks to the base, they would have been there ready to support already. And he didn't have that. He had to run them across the map again, which took probably a whole minute. And that's like really critical. You can spit out a lot of defenses in a minute and really prepare yourself.
Yeah, and as you can see here, it looks like Cameron's finally has no more resources in his natural base.
Oh, man.
As you guys see there, the Thunderfist actually making a great presence and doing some great damage towards all the infantry all at once as they were clustered up. There's a huge battle right now at the ramp. The Overlords are actually doing really good damage. I think they're going to be able to win this over. And the Railguns are actually doing decent damage, but overall the HP on the Overlords are just going to win.
Yeah, this is another really great back and forth there. The Thunderfist on the corner, I actually thought that would have won the fight outright, basically. But Godzi is paying attention, did capture it right away, and decided to take it down. Like I said, I feel we've now traded like 3 or 4 volleys of Godzi building up, attacking Cameron, hurting Cameron, rinse and repeat 4 more times here. Luckily, he managed to capture that one supply depot before. Otherwise, I feel Cameron would have been swung.
And look at this. He automatically uses his spy sortie to do a fuel bomb tactic to grant vision. And this is going to do heavy damage to the area, as you can see. Killing all the vehicle units there right away and heavily damaging all the tech structures in the presence of that area of effect.
Yeah, he did go all in with his player powers. Keep in mind, he's not going to have those player powers again for another probably 2 to 3 minutes. That is a pretty vicious combo that you can do. I think ultimately he's trying to go for the power plant and slow down production as well as kill some outside units. I mean, it's a really great plan when you're getting down to the nitty gritty. It is in a way a dirty tactic. It is in a way like kind of throwing sand in some other dude's eye. But you know what? Hey, it works, and whatever it takes to get the W. Cameron certainly is out for blood. He's out for the blood of the weasel mustache. I think that's what he's out for.
He really wants that to get shaved off. He's tired of looking at it in the workplace here. As you guys can see, he used his horde surveillance again. Put a bunch of cameras that are stealth inside Godsy's base so he knows what's going on. He also, in Godsy, keep in mind, still does not have a command center, so automatically Cameron can see the expansion going down on the top left corner of the map, as you can see there. So right now what Cameron needs to do is just protect his expansion, make sure it gets up solid. As you can see, railguns are already spotting that expansion, so he really needs to make sure that they don't go down. He's automatically making those dozers use the little pistol that's in there with the guy in the driving seat. But overall, it's not going to do a lot of damage. He really needs to protect it. And it looks like the dozer crane actually goes down.
That line AoE.
It does not look good for Cameron. I mean, this was his last chance. He spent a lot of money doing that, but it looks like he did cancel before it actually went down.
Yeah, we've been in this game for 18 minutes, and I'm pretty sure that both of the main bases have been mined out at this point. Yeah, you do see that Godsy's base has been mined out. He's actually moving over his harvesters to harvest at a new base because he probably doesn't have enough money to build another 3 set of his own, or at least he's trying to conserve that money. Cameron's lost 2 bases at this point. He's got to be mined out. You know, this is you're at a point right now where you're considering, do I need to sell what I have just to build some offensive units? I don't know what the answer is.
Look at this. This one railgun soldier is going to meet the Thunderfist right away. Pops him out real quick. Well, the guy looked for a scout. It looks like a player power is going down right here. I'm assuming that this is actually the fuel bomb? Yeah, yes. The fuel bomb itself. Fuel bomb. So right away...
The one and only fuel bomb.
The one and only. Doesn't do any huge damage. It does take it to half health for the heavy war factory, but does not kill anything there. So automatically, it looks like we have an all-in now.
We have a little bit of a skirmish here. Cameron is going up to Godsy's base, attacking with what he has left. Oh, all he has left are the harvester trucks. Oh, that is not a good sign there.
He is following it with 2 Overlord tanks, and both of them, I believe, have the propaganda tower upgrade, so they'll be healing each other's and buffing during this whole duration.
It's the slow march here. I feel like these are like 2 heavyweight fighters here. They're going out on their last legs, doing what they can. They take out the garrison building. They start with. He's in the base right now. Is there anything Godsy can do to fight it back? He's got Aegis tanks. He's got a couple of infantry. May be able to take one of them down. I don't know if he's going to be able to get both.
It looks like right now those Overlord tanks are doing a great deal of damage. And it looks like the Taskmaster, a.k.a. Cameron, was able to get the upgrade for the last and final version of the General's player powers, which is level 5. So that offshore bombardment is going to be huge if he decides to use it.
Yeah, if you look at the top of the screen, you see the Taskmaster is a 5-star general, Bulldog only a 4-star general. I don't know if that's going to be the critical difference in this game, but it is one additional advantage that Cameron has in this match. Oh, firepower going down on that Spec Ops building. Barracks going down too.
And it looks like the veterancy is actually increasing for these guys. If you notice, there's 2 chevrons on one of the Overlord tanks, which makes it so that it does more damage and heals right now on top of the propaganda tower that's already attached to them. So they're a 2-man army that is literally cleaning house. You know, Cameron was tired of trying to play the long game of actually expanding right now, and he said, you know, screw this. I'm going to defend with some Thunderfist with the amount of money I have left. I'm going to take it to the man.
And you know, based on the current way the Fog of War works, you know, Cameron knows exactly where to go to finish off the last remnants of the base here for Godsy. But Godsy is hanging on. He does have quite a considerable amount of income that he's been storing up. It's going to be a matter of, does he feel he can get anything out? Spy's already going off over on Godsy's base right there, as you see those planes flying over the last remains there. It looks, this is the last stand here. You know what? I don't know. Oh! That was offshore. What just went down there? Was that offshore bombardment taking off a little bit of those?
No, this is what offshore bombardment is. I wasn't sure what happened there, but it looks like he's getting hit by a lot of stuff. Right away, offshore bombardment goes down, and the barracks goes down right afterwards, capitalizing.
Oh, man. I think this is GG for the Weasel Mustache. We have no offensive units on the board for Godsy. What can he possibly do? He's got a lot of money. I'm sure he wished he spent that on something.
This dozer is going to wreck house.
But he's going to have to spend it at the barbershop this time as he goes down in the second game today.
That was actually a really well-played game. As you guys saw, that went back and forth for a while. And I thought Cameron didn't have it.
Twirling his collars.
He executed fairly well. So, and there it goes.
Wow.
The trash talking will begin.
I gotta
sport your man.
I gotta tip my collar.
I have to support him too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have to.
Took down our live producer. Strike for marketing, I think.
Yeah.
You know, the marketing guys at game studios, you're like, oh, he's in marketing, like he's probably not good at the game. No, Cameron represents here.
Yeah, I think he practiced for this.
I think he did too.
So
Weasel mustache must die.
Poor guy. I see a tear. Poor guy.
I think the mustache is crying too. There's some moisture there. Or maybe it's just his lunch or something. I don't know. Anyway, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we saw a lot of good stuff there. And I'm sure there's some questions. I'm sure there's a lot of people who've been seeing gameplay the first time. So
yeah.
I think we should take some questions. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's time to do that. We saw some great games so far, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people that don't know what exactly happened right away.
Yeah.
And in the moment, we may have not been able to explain it.
Sure.
So I'm going to start off with a question that's been asked a lot lately. When is the open beta, Mr. Matt?
When it's ready. I mean, no, in all seriousness, I mean, we are in an alpha state right now, just to emphasize that point. There's a lot of things we're trying out. There's a lot of things that could change. Right now, basically, we are filtering people into the open beta. I believe a lot of the Tuck users have recently gotten some of their codes to get in and try out the alpha.
Tuck users being the Ultimate Collection, which
Yes.
is a compilation of the 17 CNC games. I personally worked on that as well. So
There you go.
It was a painful process, but
But worth it.
yes,
So,
it was.
So from Save Op Sweat, you guys got access to this alpha. So anyway, but open beta, we're using the alpha state to test a lot of things. I'm sure we'll continue to test. Once we feel it's in a ready state to, we've taken a lot of feedback and we want to show it off to a broader base of people, that's when we're going to go alpha. What date is that? Search me when it's ready.
Yeah. So, and he meant beta there, by the way, guys, because we're alpha now.
Yeah, we're alpha now. At some point, it'll be beta,
is
and
very
more
soon.
people will get to be able to try things out.
Exactly.
But for now, we're a small, select group of people, and we're all having fun here and giving some feedback on a great game.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess you gave me a hard one, man. I see all these easy ones you just skipped over. I think that's a good initial question. And there's been a lot of people who've gotten alpha codes here. I want to get to some of the gameplay questions here. So here's a nice easy one, softball for anyone entering the alpha should know this. Can every general make air units, or can only air generals make air units?
So, overall our generals have multiple diversities. Different player powers, sometimes different units, sometimes a different tech tree overall, sometimes a GLA general can't build Toxin, and that's just because it doesn't fit the theme of the general.
Yeah.
Overall, most, if not, I would probably say most of the generals in our game do have some kind of air unit.
Yeah.
There may be a couple that don't overall,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that it has to be designed that way. Now,
Yeah.
keeping that in mind, the EU has an Air Force general,
Yeah.
and that emphasizes a little bit more airplay and more of a thematical theme there.
I think the short answer is yes, every general will have some sort of air unit, but whether or not that air is the viable strategy or a support strategy, that's the main question.
Exactly.
Because, there are, I don't think we saw any good examples on the camera, but I know there are some APA infantry generals who their air, to me, is more of a support for that infantry rather than kind of a hit-and-run tactic in air itself, as an air attack itself. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. So overall, it depends on the general and how they play, and
Yep.
you'll kind of see that mimicked in both the units itself and the composition of the air units.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
So moving on from there, I'm going to give you a quick, another one that might be right up your alley.
My alley.
Is there going to be some sort of spectator mode in multiplayer?
Well, I should hope so. I mean, I think half the fun of playing a game and competing is being able to watch competitions as well and watch other players in order to get better. So yes, there is a plan in works to have spectator mode. At this time, there is not anything public that we can show or any grand schemes. But yes, like I was actually in a meeting the other day about spectator mode and looking at some things. So
Yeah.
yes, it will be there for sure.
Good. I personally love it as well. Watching games is always fun, whether it's the MLG or GSL or ESL, whatever it is, whatever tournament's going on, watching them is always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see if I can find a hard one in here. Man, I'm giving you easy ones. Maybe I just don't respect your answers, I guess.
I did hear you on that.
And here's a good one for you. How this is a good one too. How significantly will the game change? What are the key focus points for this moment?
Right now there's multiple fronts. Each department has kind of a heavy focus. Engineering's heavily reliant on right now. One, getting movement right is a huge ordeal right now. And at this moment, as you guys saw, it's not perfect yet, but that's a continuous process. That's a long iteration that goes through its stages. And then the focus point right now is heavily on trying to make the generals unique, and then at the same time getting the balance right for the generals. I mean, every so often we drop a patch, or in this case a new release of something, an update, and we try to make the balance feel better, and then we add a small feature here and there, and trying to get it better and better over time. So it's kind of segmented depending on what it is. Perks was one that we released previously in August, end of August, and that's something that we're trying to tune right now and get right, because we don't feel that the community maybe gravitated as well as we wanted to with it, so we're using their feedback to get there. Yeah, for sure. My short answer to that is that gameplay is the focus. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're focusing on, but gameplay first and foremost, particularly working within the Frostbite engine to just have the most fun experience, and then also make sure we're not leaving out any of the cool stuff from previous Command & Conquer games. Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, I'm going to try to find a little bit easier one for you. So this one's not too bad. So what are the max players in a game, and will it increase as more maps become available? Right, so I would say the max players in the game is 6. So the max mode we have is a 3v3 mode that you can accomplish. We have 1v1 modes, 2v2 modes, 3v3 modes. So the max you can get there is 6. If we get some good feedback about a cool massive mode, or internally we have an idea, I'm sure we'll test it out. I guess we'll see is the answer. But for right now, if people want to play in some 3v3 mass battles, you have that option. Yeah. Good. See, that wasn't too bad, right? That wasn't too bad. That was easier to lop up. Getting comfortable interacting with people. Because you didn't before. Well, normally I just hide in a corner desk somewhere. So you're saying shoot at emails. Are you the troll in the chat stream? I'm saying I'm a reformed troll. I'm just saying don't be like me. Okay. Yeah. Life lesson learned. Yep. I see. Exactly. Well, let's see. Take one more question here. Let's see. This I think is a good point. Maybe someone had this question while we were describing the flame squads. Are flamer weapons, not true, are flamer weapons supposed to do AoE damage like railguns or toxins? So maybe you want to address like the AoE or infantry. Yeah, they definitely do. Yeah. And yes, they're intended in a similar fashion. Overall, they all work slightly differently. I would say that the flame soldiers have a little bit more of a cone shape than they do with the railguns. The railguns have more of a line damage AoE. Yeah. And so there's a small difference there that's usually a little bit more tactical in a finesse play with high level 1v1 setups. Yeah. So overall, there's a slight difference, but yes, AoE is supposed to happen and is similar to the railgun and the toxins. Yeah, it makes it interesting to have different types of damage. I think in the games we saw today against Godzi, Godzi and Cameron playing against each other, you definitely saw like the differences in style when the flame squads walked up to the infantry, and immediately the infantry knew they were hosed, right? So they had to take that back pedal into the garrison in order to stand a chance, because they knew they were just going to line up and die. And then later on in the game, we saw a lot of the rail damage coming from Godzi's end, where it benefited. He got a lot of damage in some points. Yeah. In other places, he just lined up a little bit too much, right? Right. Yeah. So that's good. Well, thanks for the questions, guys. We've distributed some keys. I actually want to give a shout out and I guess a thanks to people who asked questions and won some keys here. So welcome our new generals. I'm going to go through the list here. HUD House, Defrosted with 2 E's, Die for SOS, Silentel, Velador, Willendar. Wow. Oh, this is a hard one. You want to try this one? Sfari Golova. Do this. Odin Oki Volk, the HT Quantix, Mr. Spammer 135, my lifelong friend there. I know. No. And Flame Or. I think his clan tag is Or, and he's Flame. That's what I'm interpreting that as. Yeah. So welcome, generals. Glad to have you in the beta, or maybe you just tossed the key to a friend, which is great as well. Everyone wants to play with friends. Exactly, and that's perfect to have, right? Exactly. Well, I think that's about the end of the show. Next week, I want to actually talk about a little bit what we're doing next week. Sure. Next week, we'll be back same time, similar format, noon Pacific time on Wednesday. And we're going to go over some new topics. We're actually going to be putting out a patch next Monday. So we're going to be talking a lot about that, the implications of that patch, new gameplay, new generals. You'll have to tune in and see what we do. Yeah, it's really exciting. I can't wait till next week. It's something near and dear, and it's a bigger update than usual, I think. So overall, there's a lot to talk about. But with that being said, we are over and out.